Good morning. Always a pleasure to be here. I haven't been here since April. I realized when I was coming here and I passed that intersection where I was divinely guided to turn right. It was very exciting to remember that. I love how the universe works, and I love New Thought Practical Spirituality. And so today I thought that I'd start with teaching you a bit of the background of New Thought and do a little show and tell so that you'd have some suggestions for daily inspiration or study in practical spirituality. And then following that, I'll offer you some great words of inspiration on the topic I was given today, which is creativity. Okay, you ready? Okay, all right, good. So, New Thought is a spiritual religious denomination, and it teaches practical spirituality. It is currently based mostly upon the works of Unity and the philosophy known as Science of Mind. Unity was founded in Kansas City, Missouri in 1989 by Charles Fillmore, and he was a real estate agent married to this woman named Myrtle. Now, all started when Myrtle Fillmore had this idea, and the idea was, I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. I am a child of God, therefore I do not inherit sickness. Now, Myrtle did what is called in the New Thought movement spiritual mind healing. And through her faith and through the power of God within, she was cured of tuberculosis. This was back in the late 1800s. Consequently, the Fillmores started studying this idea of spiritual mind healing, and they found it to be so effective that they began offering spiritual mind healing through prayer, which is exactly what you have here. You have your prayer practitioners. So this is called spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. Excuse me. Fillmore became a prolific New Thought author, and he specialized in metaphysical Bible interpretation. And he wrote many books, including The Atom-Smashing Power of Your Mind. And his wife, Myrtle, she wrote Myrtle Fillmore's Healing Letters. And then the Fillmores were the founders of Unity School of Christianity, and in 1924 they began publishing this booklet that's still in publication today. This is a daily reader that most people use. You can get it at your bookstore, you can go online. It's called Daily Word, and the intention is to offer you prayers and inspiration so you can live a healthy and prosperous and thoughtful life. Now, the Fillmores studied under Emma Curtis Hopkins. Emma Curtis Hopkins wrote some really amazing publications. When I first read this, it just twisted my brain. She wrote it on spiritual mind healing because she absolutely believes so emphatically in the presence of good. You may know the name Mary Baker Eddy. She worked with Mary Baker Eddy for a while, and became known as the teacher of teachers because many students who became prominent in the New Thought movement studied under Emma Curtis Hopkins. So then, we're to the early 1900s, Hopkins taught Ernest Shurtleff Holmes, and he was an American New Thought writer and teacher. He was the founder of the spiritual movement known as religious science, which today, if you were to travel around the country or the world and you wanted to check it out, you would look for Centers for Spiritual Living. He wrote this book. It's considered the textbook. It's called The Science of Mind. It's amazing. If you don't have this in your library, I encourage you to get it. He authored many, many, many books. This is my favorite all-time book that he wrote. This is called This Thing Called You. And when I taught in the Reverend Ike Seminary in New York City many years ago, we used this book. And what's neat is in italics, they have affirmative prayer. And so I would say, okay, God, what do I need to know today? And I'd open up and get the perfect message. And what's cool is you can read the book in the first person to really imbue your consciousness with spiritual truths. Also, this was 1927, this magazine started. This is called Science of Mind. It's a guide for spiritual living. This you can definitely get in local bookstores. I know I live in Huntington, they have it there. If you're not reading this, I encourage you to get this. It also has a daily reading, and it also has lots of inspirational articles. Alrighty, two other prolific authors. I didn't think I could leave these out. Dun, 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 dun. Joseph Murphy, Power of Your Subconscious Mind? Okay, one head nodding. Only one person? Oh, no, more. Okay, good. This is awesome. This book back a long time ago, the late 80s. This book fell off the bookshelf. I think it was actually the 70s. Fell off the bookshelf, and I discovered this book, read this book, healed myself, and then a gazillion years later became a teacher of these spiritual principles. And then I can't leave out Catherine Ponder. Catherine Ponder studied at Unity School of Christianity. And what was neat about Catherine Ponder, she writes all these series, the dynamic laws of prayer, the dynamic laws of healing, the dynamic laws of prosperity. Catherine Ponder, you want to check her out. Okay, I'm almost done. And those who are spiritually advanced, you consider yourself, you've been doing this, for 999 years. This is Unity Magazine for the spiritually advanced readers. And they don't give you basic principle in here. This is for you who understand the basic tenets. Fabulous publication. And then we have the delightful New Thought Magazine with a lure on it that I can get for fishing. Okay. I just looked on here, I had written on it. This is neat. This is published by the International New Thought Alliance, which is one of the organizations that encompasses New Thought. I happen to belong to the affiliated New Thought Network, which is an organization that embraces anybody who's in New Thought who wants to be part of an organization, because individually we are strong, but together we are stronger. So, now you have suggestions to support your spiritual growth and development, and for some daily spiritual food. Okay? Okay, good. Ready? It's a fundamental spiritual tenet of New Thought that we're made in the image and likeness of the infinite divine creator. I love Ernest Holmes. In one of his books, it's called It's Up to You, and he wrote, the whole philosophy is based upon the assumption that standing within and back of each one of us is God, the eternal presence as us. We're told in Genesis chapter 1 that we're made in the image and likeness of God, and since God is the divine creator, then we must be creative beings. At our core is the essence of creativity, pure potentiality. And so, New Thought author Eric Butterworth, he wrote, the life that urges us to create can never be concealed or shut away forever. Ever present, it simply awaits our recognition and expression. From God flows all creation that exists, and since we're one with God, inseparable from God, then we are by our nature creative. And that means extravagantly so. For just as life is limitless, so are our capacities to imagine and thus to create. We co-create with God with our thinking. That's what New Thought teaches. So whatever we entertain long enough and vividly enough in our surface mind eventually passes into the deeper mind, the subconscious mind, and then according to the law of mind, will draw and attract people, circumstances, and events which correspond to these thought patterns. And so it depends on our thinking, our consciousness. So the question becomes, where is your thinking? What station, if you will, are you tuned into in your thoughts? What station are you tuned into in your brain? Are you tuned into Gloomy FM? On Gloomy FM, there's lack of negativity. Our thoughts are filled with doubt and fear. We think thoughts like, I don't have what it takes, or how am I ever going to accomplish that goal? All those thoughts that are condemn and criticize ourselves and others. And on Gloomy FM, we tune into thoughts that have like unreasonable expectations or high expectations of ourselves and others. The thoughts that tend to find the worst in everything, or the thoughts that they block the free flow of creative divine ideas. Then there's Reality FM. Maybe you're tuned into Reality FM. This is where the brain is tuned into what is in the now moment, just what's going on in this little box that you're living in. So Reality FM is what has been created up until now. And there's a lot of fear thinking on Reality FM because that station is tuned into negativity. And these thoughts see circumstances just as they are and very limited, and there's no possibility thinking at all. And so with Reality FM, our minds only look at the current situation and we label them as bad or terrible or unchanging. And it's really awful to be tuned into Reality FM with all the complaining and the kvetching thoughts that just run around in your brain and over, and there's just another one. And we keep ourselves tuned in to Reality FM when we keep thinking about and talking about only the story of what's happening to us now. And so I want to tell you how to tell if you might be tuned into Reality FM. When you're tuned into Reality FM, you use words that are absolute words. Words that are absolute words are words like can't, won't, shouldn't. They're words that there's no flexibility. They offer limitation. Words like always, never, can't, won't. Those are words that are absolutes. For example, we might think things have always been this way. Or maybe we're thinking things will never change. And sometimes thoughts are, they're not really solid. They're just like kind of in the back of your mind. You're kind of like, this is never going to change. Or I can't ever change. Or I can't ever finish what I started. Or this is too hard. Or I can't accomplish that task. And on and on and on. Or how about this one? Nothing ever gets done around here. Nothing's ever going to change. So if you're using words that are absolute, you need to check yourself because you might be tuned into Reality FM. So if you're listening to Reality FM or Gloomy FM, you're not living in alignment with the source, with the creative infinite intelligence within us. However, we can tune into Possibility FM. Possibility FM focuses on what is possible. I was thinking Potential FM, but I like Possibility FM, right? Isn't that something about that? Possibility FM. Say it with me. I am tuned into Possibility FM. Yeah, I love it. Okay, that's an expanded state of consciousness. That's about having vision. That's beyond seeing beyond what is. Ernest Holmes, right in the beginning of that big old tomb, The Science of Mind, he said, our gift is that we can think independently of existing circumstances. Isn't that wonderful that we can do that? And so there's a Bible promise in the Old Testament about potential and possibility. It's so cool. Abraham in Genesis said, now lift up your eyes and look from the place where you are. Look northward, southward, eastward, westward. For all the land that you see, I will give it to you and to your descendants forever. And when we lift our eyes up from the place where we are to a higher possibility, and we have this extended vision, then everything we could possibly desire or need or want in our experience is available to us. It is available to us. And so it's our destiny. It's our destiny, our potential to express this energy, this divine energy, this infinite intelligence. In fact, it seeks expression through you. The universe knows itself by means of its creation. And I'm usually energized, but I think maybe you had something to do with me today. That prayer, Rob, that was like, whoa, wasn't that awesome? Okay, so, and the thing is that we're always in this evolutionary cycle of growth. Life is always for the greater expansion and expression of itself. You've heard me talk about, you see a weed growing up in the crack in the cement. Life wants to express, and life wants to express through you. So, I'm going to give you 2 ways to tune into Possibility FM. Simple method, asking questions. Boom, that's it. Ask the infinite intelligence within you questions. Ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be open unto you. Ask the power within you. Want to have some questions? What do I need to know in this situation? What do I need to do in this circumstance? What's my next best step forward from here? How can I turn things around? How can I improve this circumstance? What can I learn from this situation? What can I do to earn more money? What can I do to become more healthy? How can I improve my relationships? What can I do about my job? And on and on and on. Ask. And it's important to consistently ask. And if we persist in this kind of possibility thinking, then we make ourselves available to divine ideas, which are actually always bombarding us, but it's being tuned into, Gloomy FM and Reality FM that keeps the ideas from like coming into our brain and then we can grasp onto them. But all we need to do is listen up. We just need to listen up. We have to pay attention to our inner guidance system. You know, I posted an anonymous Facebook, no wait, the writer was anonymous. I'm not anonymous. The writer was anonymous. And here's what I put. It says, never discredit your gut instinct. You are not paranoid. Your body can pick up on bad vibrations. If something deep inside of you says something is not right about a person or a situation, trust it. Oh, I see a lot of nodding heads on that. You know, last week we had very high winds, and I went down to my boat because I have a hard top, and then I had extended canvas on there to keep the sun out. And I've been posting all these dockside prayers on my Facebook page. I was like, you know what, I'm going to do a dockside prayer on goals, having your goals reached. So I'm doing my dockside prayer, and it's really wind's kicking up. So I get on my boat, and I have to take off this canvas top. It's very difficult because I'm not the tallest person in the universe. This is very tall, so I have a 4-inch like platform. I'm standing on it, reaching. I finally get the canvas. I didn't hit up my head. I got it down. But the poles are still up there. And I'm like, okay, God, you know, how am I ever going to get this down? And I'm pulling, and all of a sudden, I see this big, tall man on the dock. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, excuse me, can you? And he goes, you know, and then he interrupted me. He goes, I was about to ask you if you need some help. So not only does he come on the boat, and you know, just like this, you know, he's like boom, boom, boom. He goes, you have to twist them. Yeah, okay, thank you. So he hands them all, and I put them in the cabin, and then I was able to batten down the hatches, put an extra spring line because it was pretty rough out there. And then, you know, afterwards, I'm thinking to myself, was that dude an angel? I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? He came out of nowhere, right? But I had just prayed for whatever I needed to be there. And the universe will respond, but you got to do your daily practice, you got to do your studying and your reading and work your consciousness. Okay, I don't have much time, but I have one more really important thing to tell you. Okay, there's this board certified, and okay, so last week something really awful happened. I was in the circumstance. It wasn't me, but I was there, and I was like, oh my God. And it was so intense. I mean, it was horrible. I was like, God, what do I got to do something. I got to shift here. And I kept seeing this thing about grounding and earthing. Anybody hear about grounding and earthing? I know, how cool is grounding and earthing? Dr. Sinatra, he's a board-certified cardiologist. He specializes in integrative medicine, and he's a certified bioenergetic psychotherapist. Hello. And he said, one of my cardinal principles of health is called grounding, also known as earthing. It's an amazing, simple concept that involves nothing more than reconnecting the human body with the energy naturally present in the ground we walk on. Okay, I gotta forget the notes because I gotta go. Okay, so what you do is you take off your shoes. Why? Because in the earth there are electrons, negative electrons, and in the body there are positive electrons. Free radicals in the body, they cause inflammation and chronic pain. They call inflammation and chronic pain. And so when you take off your shoes and you just walk around on the earth for 40 minutes, and that's what I did. I was out there and I was not a happy girl. And I went out, I came back in and I shifted. I started getting ideas how to manage the circumstance and what to do. It was amazing, amazing. Sinatra wrote a book, Earthing, the most important health discovery ever. It's been published in 15 languages. And so he says that we have this innate electrical circuitry that has to be properly balanced. Here's what it does. When you're willing to get out there and balance out those free radicals in the body, lowers stress, increases calmness, improves blood pressure and circulation. It even thins your blood. It includes efficacy of the cardiovascular system, the respiratory system, the circulatory system, the nervous system, and it reduces chronic pain. So everybody take your shoes off. Kidding, no, I'm kidding. Joseph. Oh, he did. Okay, so that's important to know. It won't go through wood or vinyl or plastic. It will go through cement. So I've been sitting out on my patio every day now. I'm a grounding junkie now. I get out every day and I read my spiritual prayers in the morning. I pray. I take my shoes off and I'm really short on it. And I go, it's really good. Oh, I won't be able to read my notes. So, just kidding. So I call upon you, I want you to practice this, because it'll bring your awareness back to this. It's just another tool and another technique that you can utilize with your affirmative prayer and your reading and etc. I want you to practice this. And anytime I catch myself having stinking thinking, I get busy and I go out and I ground, even if it's only for 5 or 10 minutes. And I say to myself, how can I turn the dial on the radio station in my brain and bring myself back to Possibility FN? And so, if you ever find yourself on either Gloomy FM or even Reality FM, make a conscious decision to turn the dial back and keep the dial there. Then get out there and be creative. Listen up to the voice within. And then you know what's going to happen? You are going to rise up in the majesty of your divinity, and you are going to glorify the truth principles that are taught here every single Sunday. And so begins your lesson.